story about military chaplaincy in Ukraine, presented by Ivan Zhezhera. First, the news wrap by Andrew Bondar. The situation in the war zone in eastern Ukraine remains tense as Russian-backed militants continue to breach the ceasefire, targeting positions of government troops and residential areas along the division line in Donetsk region. Since Tuesday night, they have opened fire 45 times. Fortunately, no Ukrainian soldiers have been killed or wounded. Said at a news briefing on Wednesday. However, the armed conflict continues to claim civilian lives. At 8 a.m. Wednesday, the minibus hit a landmine near the Marianka checkpoint in Donetsk region. 2 of 5 people in the vehicle, including the driver, died instantly, and one died several hours later in a hospital. Another man who was injured by the explosion while waiting for transport on the roadside also died, Donetsk Region Police Chief Vyacheslav Abroskin told reporters. According to him, the minibus was coming from the gray zone and hit the landmine when trying to overtake the row of cars, ignoring mine warning signs. Ukraine's ambassador to NATO, Yegor Bozhok, counts on the alliance's guarantees of security. The defense ministers of NATO member countries are meeting today, and I'm expecting them to decide on maximally increasing their resources for deterring aggression from the east, as Ukraine is de facto a part of the alliance's eastern flank, Bozhok told reporters in Brussels on Wednesday. Unlike at the previous summits, no meeting of the NATO-Ukraine Commission was scheduled in Brussels. We hope this is not taken as a signal of the alliance's softening position with regard to Russia, and we hope that the NATO-Ukraine Commission will meet during the next NATO summit in Warsaw in July. We believe that the event should be an organic component of the Warsaw Summit, considering the actual security environment and the present state of our practical cooperation with the alliance. The NATO leadership has repeatedly stated that the security of Ukraine is a sine qua non for Euro-Atlantic security. This is why during the summit we would like to focus on the security dimension of our cooperation, Bozhok said. It is hard for the IMF to continue cooperation with Ukraine under the Extended Fund Facility without a substantial effort to fight corruption, IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde said in a statement published on Wednesday. I am concerned about Ukraine's slow progress in improving governance and fighting corruption and reducing the influence of vested interests in policymaking. Without a substantial new effort to invigorate governance reforms and fight corruption, it is hard to see how the IMF-supported program can continue and be successful. Ukraine risks a return to the pattern of failed economic policies that has plagued its recent history. It is vital that Ukraine's leadership act now to put the country back on a promising path of reform, Lagarde said. At present, the IMF mission to Ukraine is finalizing its report on the second EFF review and the memorandum on further cooperation to be submitted to the board of directors. Based on the report, the board is to decide on disbursing the third tranche of the $17 billion loan. Ukraine's finance minister Natalia Yaresko said the $1.7 billion tranche would allow the country to receive another $2.3 billion in financial assistance from the United States, the European Union, and the World Bank. Indictments against 2 soldiers and the unit commander of the Berkut riot police, who are charged with murdering 48 and inflicting gunshot wounds on 85 protesters in Kyiv in February 2014, have been sent to court, Sergei Hrobatyuk, head of the Special Investigations Directorate at the Prosecutor General's office, said at a briefing in Kyiv on Wednesday. The death toll of the two epidemics is 253 deaths caused by influenza and its complications, confirmed by laboratories, including 3 minors aged under 17, have been registered since the beginning of this epidemic season. 40 lethal cases have been registered in Odessa region, 29 in Kyiv City, 18 in Cherkasy region, 15 in Kharkiv region, 15 in Donetsk region, and 14 in Rivne region, the health ministry said on Wednesday. And that was the news.
I'm Tatiana Harbul, and the studio producer is Lyudmila Sudakova. mercenaries continue to shell the Ukrainian fortified positions in the east of Ukraine. The combined Russian separatist forces attacked Ukrainian army positions more than 24 hours, using grenade launchers in most cases. This was reported by the Counter-Terrorism Operation Headquarters on Wednesday, February the 10th. The Russian militants used grenade launchers of various systems and small arms to shell the Ukrainian fortified positions near the town of Mariinka. Also, according to the counter-terrorist operations spokesman Andriy Zadubinny, a small passenger bus was blown up by a landmine on February the 10th near the checkpoint of Mariinka in Donetsk region. 4 people have been killed in a blast. Over the past day, no Ukrainian military man was killed and 1 was wounded. The counter-terrorist operations spokesperson Andriy Zadubinny comments.
В районі тимчасово окупованої Горлівки противник відкривав вогонь з мінометів та гранатометів по українських позиціях Харкову та Майорську.
The militants from the temporarily occupied town of Gorlivka fired mortars and grenade launchers on Ukrainian fortified positions in the villages of Zaitsevo and Mayorsk. The situation remains tense in the suburbs of Donetsk, where the occupiers used rocket-propelled grenades and heavy machine guns to shell Ukrainian positions in the village of Pisky, Opytne, and the town of Avdiivka. In the Mariupol sector, the Russian-backed mercenaries intensified near the village of Shirokine, where Ukrainian positions were attacked with mortar shells. The militants also fired grenade launchers and small arms, there said Andriy Zadubinny. The NATO will continue to provide strong support for Ukraine. The Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said at a press conference here prior to the NATO ministerial meeting scheduled for February 10th and 11th. We give strong political support for Ukraine, their independence, their territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine. But of course, we then also support the efforts to find and to implement a negotiated peaceful solution to the conflict in Ukraine, he said. The NATO Secretary General also reiterated that it is extremely important that the Minsk agreements are fully implemented, meaning a ceasefire, the withdrawal of heavy weapons, and that the international monitors have full access so they can monitor and make sure that the agreement is fully implemented. You're tuned to Radio Ukraine International, and we continue our program Ukrainian Perspective. Russia and its political leadership are doing everything to destabilize the situation not only in Ukraine but throughout the world as well. This was announced Tuesday by the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, Oleksandr Turchinov, during the meeting with the delegation of representatives of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs of the European Union within the framework of the Eastern Partnership. Russia does not hide its aggressive intentions towards the West. They are dislocating their commands closer to Western borders, he noted. During the meeting, the interlocutors discussed the questions of breach of the Minsk peace agreements by the Russian occupation forces and continuation of sanctions against the aggressor. Concerning the issue of continuation of sanctions against the Russian Federation, Oleksandr Turchinov emphasized that these instruments should be considered at least in the mid-term. Quote, sanctions are not a gift for Ukraine. This is an elementary form of protection of the European countries against the Russian aggression and Russia's hybrid war against the civilized world. Appeasement of the aggressor leads to catastrophes, and our common history is the proof of that. Thank you for the stand the EU takes in regards to the aggressor, which has been put into action by the European Parliament resolution directly condemning the aggression of the Russian Federation, unquote, said Oleksandr Turchinov, Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine.
Продовжується окупація Автономної Республіки Крим, продовжується війна на сході нашої країни.
Occupation of Crimea and the war in the east continue. Ukraine strictly abides by its commitments to adhere to the Minsk agreements. Since it was signed, there has not been a single day when the Russian occupation troops did not conduct provocative fire on the Ukrainian positions, concluded Alexander Turchinov. In his turn, Ambassador for Eastern Partnership of the European Union, Zygimantas Pavilionis, emphasized that, quote, European community has always supported and will continue to support Ukraine. Your victory is our victory, unquote. You're listening to Ukrainian Perspective, a program of news, reports and commentaries. Exhibition Ukrainian Antarctica, dedicated to the 20th anniversary of the establishment of the Meteorological and Geophysical Observatory located on Galindas Island of the Argentine archipelago in Antarctica, opened at the National Museum of History of Ukraine. The exhibition presents unique photos and videos from Antarctica about the history of the establishment and the activities of the Ukrainian Polar Station. The opening ceremony was attended by Ukrainian scientists, Antarctic Observatory staff, who shared with the visitors personal experiences of living and working in Antarctica. May we remind you that this is the only Antarctic station of Ukraine where climate monitoring, research of mineral resources and changes in the magnetic field of Earth, as well as observation of life on the continent and underwater, are being conducted. Based on Antarctic microorganisms, Ukrainian polar biologists have created a cure for cancer and inflammations, and ointment for burns is already being used to help wounded anti-terrorist operation soldiers. Journalist Valentin Sherbachov believes that Vernadsky Station is a confirmation of the scientific potential of Ukraine.
Уже 20 років освоюємо Антарктиду, і це найбільш креативна і плідна станція. 20 років стежать за озоновою дірою.
We have been working in the Antarctica for 20 years, and I can say it is the most creative and effective station. For 20 years, scientists have been monitoring the ozone hole over glaciers, as well as conducted meteorological and geophysical research, monitored landslides crossed, oceanic flora and fauna. Ukrainian scientists explore everything one can explore in Antarctica, and the biggest amount of work is at our station, concludes journalist Valentin Sherbachov. It is known that the observatory Academician Vernadsky was founded in 1953 as a British station Faraday, and in 1996 was transferred to Ukraine. Director of the National Antarctic Center, Valery Litvinov, said that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia took all Antarctic stations that belonged to the USSR. There were 6 of them. Ukraine wanted to return to Antarctica, and 20 years ago, in February of 1996, the United Kingdom sold its station Faraday that Ukraine bought for a nominal price of £1. Program Ukrainian Perspective, presented by Tatiana Harbul and produced by Ludmila Sudakova.
International, and up next is Ivan Zhezhera with his story about military